The same people who thought you were buried, the same voices that whispered you were finished, are about to witness Allah honor you in ways they can't deny. And tonight, for the next few moments of your life, I will take you on a journey to show you why their hatred was never the end, why their betrayal was never your downfall, and why Allah has been quietly preparing your rise all along. Stay until the very last word, because by the end of this reminder, you will not only understand your pain, you will understand your victory. The blessing they cannot stop. They thought they ended you. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought their laughter was louder than your prayer. But they were wrong. Because when people bury you, they only bury what they can see. Allah is the one who lifts what they cannot see. They looked at you and thought, this one is finished. But Allah looked at you and whispered, this one is mine. They believed your humiliation would last forever. But humiliation cannot remain on the forehead that bows in sujud. Allah wipes it away with His mercy, and in its place, He writes dignity. You see, people love to measure you by their eyes. They think because they see you quiet, you are weak. Because you walk alone, you are forgotten. Because you don't fight back, you are powerless. But they cannot see what Allah sees. They don't see your nights in prayer. They don't hear the tears you let fall in the dark. They don't know the heaviness you carry when no one is around. But Allah knows, and when Allah knows, that is enough. Every insult they threw became a seed. Every rejection they gave became a root. Every time they buried you with words, Allah was watering your soul with patience. And like a seed hidden underground, you looked finished to them, but in reality, you were only beginning. That is the beauty of Allah's plan. What looks like an ending is only a planting. What looks like darkness is only preparation for light. What looks like silence is only a pause before the rise. They thought isolation meant your end, but isolation became the place Allah spoke to your heart. They thought rejection meant failure, but rejection became the wall that pushed you back into His arms. They thought humiliation meant destruction, but humiliation became the fire that burned away your pride, leaving only sincerity in your chest. And sincerity is a crown they cannot steal. When Allah decides to raise someone, He does not ask permission. He does not wait for approval. He does not need votes, nor voices, nor counsels. He simply says, be, and it is. And on that day, the same people who thought they were above you will be forced to watch. The same people who laughed will go silent. The same people who buried you will witness you bloom. Not because you proved them wrong, but because Allah proved Himself right. The greatest revenge is not in answering them. The greatest revenge is not in shouting back. The greatest revenge is not in showing them your power. The greatest revenge is to let Allah show them His power. Because when Allah honors you, it will not be in secret. It will not be small. It will not be hidden. It will be in a way that cannot be denied. And that is why their hatred became your soil. That is why their envy became your ladder. That is why their rejection became your stage. Every weapon they used was turned into wood for the fire that now gives you light. They thought they buried you to kill you, but Allah planted you to grow you. They thought the silence around you was proof that Allah left you. But silence is not abandonment. Silence is a canvas where Allah paints His wisdom in strokes the world cannot see yet. You were not forgotten in that silence. You were being rewritten. You were being sharpened. You were being prepared for a stage they could never stand on. If they could see what Allah was building inside you in that silence, their hearts would tremble. If they could taste the sweetness Allah was placing in your chest, their tongues would freeze. But Allah hid it, so that when it appears, they will know it was only Him. They thought your story was in their hands. But how can clay decide the shape of another when both are in the hand of the potter? How can dust write destiny when both it and you are written by the same Lord. They thought they had the power to define your worth, but your worth was written long before they even knew your name. And no whisper, no rumor, no slander can erase what Allah carved into your soul. Look deeper, my dear soul. Do you see how every rejection pushed you closer to Allah? Do you see how every humiliation purified you from pride? Do you see how every betrayal taught you that only He is loyal forever? What they used to break you only broke your chains. What they used to humiliate you only humbled your ego. What they used to bury you only hid you for a season. And when that season is over, you will rise not because of them, but in spite of them. Imagine the day the same ones who said, "You are nothing," will watch as Allah dresses you in dignity. The same ones who said, "You are finished," will see that you are only beginning. The same ones who whispered, "He will never rise," I will whisper again, but this time in shock. This is the promise of Allah. He raises whom He wills, and when He raises, no hand can push down, no enemy can erase, no tongue can deny. This is why you must not waste your nights trying to prove yourself. You must not waste your breath answering rumors. You must not waste your heart chasing their approval, because the one who holds your story does not sit in their gatherings. He sits above the throne, and His pen has already written your rise. And when it happens, your blessing will not just be in wealth or power. Your blessing will be in peace they cannot touch, in clarity they cannot steal, in strength they cannot explain, in light they cannot imitate. That is the blessing they cannot stop. It is not only in front of their eyes, it is above their reach. It is not only a crown on your head, it is a flame in your soul. It is not only dignity in this world, it is honor waiting for you in the next. So, let them plot, let them whisper, let them laugh. For every sound they make is only an echo, and echoes always fade. But what Allah writes remains forever. The day will come when you will look back and smile. You will realize their hatred was your soil, their envy was your water, their betrayal was your sunlight. And without knowing it, they became the farmers of your own rise. And on that day, you will thank Allah for not stopping their whispers, because their whispers became the proof of His promise. Peace is the loudest victory. They expected your victory to look loud. They expected it to look like money, like power, like status. They thought success is measured by gold and silver, by how many people clap for you, by how many doors open before you. But Allah gives His beloved a victory that confuses the enemy. He gives peace. Peace is heavier than gold. Peace is more beautiful than crowns. Peace is more powerful than armies. Because enemies can steal opportunities. They can spread rumors. They can block your path. But they cannot steal the calmness Allah places in your chest. That calmness, that is your true victory. It is victory when you sleep at night while they are restless. It is victory when you smile without reason while they search for ways to hurt you. It is victory when you walk with light in your eyes and they wonder why the darkness in their hearts cannot touch you. The world teaches that victory is noise, crowds, applause, attention. But Sufis know the truth. The loudest victory is silence. The victory that shows on your face, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you are unshaken. Enemies do not know how to fight this victory. They can argue against your words, but they cannot argue against your peace. They can attack your plans, but they cannot touch your calmness. They can throw fire, but they cannot burn what Allah has already cooled. Look at Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, thrown into fire, but Allah said, "Be cool and safe." The people expected screams, but what they saw was silence. That silence was louder than their fire. Look at Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. He was betrayed, humiliated, imprisoned. But when he spoke, it was with peace. When he forgave, it was with peace. When he rose, it was with peace. That peace was louder than the lies that tried to destroy him. Look at our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, insulted, attacked, chased out of Makkah. But he entered again years later, not with swords dripping in revenge, but with mercy dripping from his heart. His peace was louder than their hatred. This is the peace Allah writes for you. It is not weakness. It is strength. It is a shield. It is a crown. Because nothing tortures an enemy more than seeing you untouched. They expect your heart to break, but it beats stronger. They expect your face to fall, but it glows brighter. They expect your mind to collapse, but it grows sharper. And all the while, you are calm. That calmness is not natural. It is divine. It is Allah saying, I am with you. Don't be afraid. Don't be sad. Sometimes, the greatest victory is not the one people can count. It is not in numbers, not in wealth, not in applause. It is in the way your soul stays steady while storms rage around you. It is in the way your tongue still remembers Allah while others curse. It is in the way you can sit in silence and feel no fear, because your silence is filled with Him. Enemies expect you to respond to every insult, but your peace answers louder. Enemies expect you to collapse under pressure, but your peace stands taller. Enemies expect you to fight fire with fire, but your peace is the rain that puts their fire out. And this is why peace is the loudest victory. Because while they destroy themselves trying to break you, you are already standing in safety. Because while they stay awake at night thinking of you, you are asleep, trusting Allah to guard you. Because while they whisper against you, your heart whispers Allah's name. And what whisper is stronger than the one He hears? Peace is strange to your enemies. They do not understand how you smile when they curse. They do not understand how you stand when they push. They do not understand how you rise when they try to bury you. And the truth is, they will never understand. Because peace is not from the world. Peace is from Allah. He is As-Salam, the source of peace. And when He places His peace inside you, no war outside, you can break it. They can shout louder, but your silence is heavier. They can strike harder, but your calmness cuts deeper. They can gather in crowds, but your single sujood shakes more than their armies. Do you see how powerful it is? To walk with peace in a world addicted to chaos? To carry stillness when others are drowning in noise? To smile when others are consumed by envy? This is not weakness, this is Allah's gift. Peace is a crown they cannot snatch. Peace is a treasure they cannot steal. Peace is a fireproof cloak Allah wraps around His servants. Remember when the people of the cave were chased by their own nation? They found no armies, no helpers, no worldly support. But Allah filled their cave with peace, and that peace became louder than any army. Even centuries later, their story still echoes, not because of wealth, not because of titles, but because of peace. Peace is what lets you breathe when the world tries to suffocate you. Peace is what lets you stand when the ground under you shakes. Peace is what lets you forgive when hatred burns around you. Enemies expect scar, but peace makes your face glow instead. Enemies expect fear, but peace makes your footsteps steady. Enemies expect collapse, but peace makes your rise undeniable. And the most painful thing for your enemy is not your victory in wealth, not your victory in power, but your victory in peace. Because they can imitate wealth, they can chase power, but they cannot fake peace. Peace cannot be borrowed. Peace cannot be bought. Peace cannot be stolen. It is gifted, and when Allah gifts it, it stays. Even in storms, peace whispers, "You are safe." Even in loneliness, peace whispers, "You are not alone." Even in heartbreak, peace whispers, "This is not the end." And those whispers are louder than any enemy's scream. So, understand this. When Allah blesses you with peace, He has already blessed you with victory. The battle is already won, because while they live chasing shadows. You live resting under His light. This is why peace is the loudest victory. It speaks without words. It answers without arguments. It shines without fire. And it leaves enemies restless in their own darkness. Sujud turns mockery into crowns. They mocked when you stumbled. They laughed when you fell. They thought their voices were louder than your pain, but they never saw what happened when the world turned dark and you turned to the ground. They mocked, but you bowed. And in that bow, you found what they could never understand. You whispered to Allah the words you couldn't tell anyone else. You poured your heart into the earth, and the earth carried it to the throne of heaven. That moment of sujud, they didn't see it. They didn't hear the tears that fell on the prayer mat. They didn't feel the trembling in your chest as you said, Ya Allah, only you know. And those tears, they became jewels. Those whispers, they became wings. That pain you thought was crushing you was actually carving your crown. Enemies can take away money. They can take away status. They can even take away people. But they cannot take away the dignity Allah writes on the forehead that touched the ground for Him. Every time you bowed in sujud, you were rising. Every time you lowered your head, your soul was lifted. Every time they mocked you, Allah was saying to the angels, look at my servant. Look how he still comes back to me. And angels recorded it. Not the insults, not the laughter, not the rumors, but the sujud. Because in the scale of the hereafter, their mockery will weigh nothing, but your prostration will weigh mountains. Do you realize the beauty? The same thing they mocked you for your weakness, your silence, your tears, is the very thing Allah turned into your honor. You bowed when they boasted. You cried when they cursed. You humbled yourself when they tried to humiliate you. And Allah took that humility and transformed it into dignity. The crown of sujud is invisible now, but it shines in the unseen. On the day of judgment, when crowns of gold will mean nothing, Allah will place light on the faces of those who prostrated, and that light will be brighter than every crown on earth. So let them laugh, let them mock, let them whisper in their gatherings. Their laughter is temporary, their words are dust, but your sujud is eternal. Do you know why sujud turns mockery into crowns? Because sujud is the lowest position to people, but the highest position to Allah. And the one who humbles himself for Allah, Allah promises to raise him. Every tear that touched the ground in sujud will one day return as light on your face. Every whisper of Ya Rab will one day echo as honor in front of creation. Every pain that bent your back will one day straighten your rank in paradise. And this is why you must never feel ashamed of your brokenness. Your brokenness is what makes your sujud beautiful. Your sujud is what turns their mockery into crowns. They thought your bowing was weakness, but weakness before Allah is strength before the world. They thought your tears were shame, but tears in sujud are pearls in the sight of Allah. They thought your silence meant defeat, but silence in sujud is a conversation that shakes the heavens. If only they knew, every time you bent your forehead to the ground, Allah was raising your rank above theirs. Every time you whispered His name, He was erasing the weight of their words from your heart. Every time you cried to Him, He was preparing a day when they would cry because of what they lost. Their mockery echoed for a moment, but your sujud will echo for eternity. Look at the stories of the righteous. Every saint, every wali, every friend of Allah carried scars. Not scars of wealth or crowns of kings, but scars on their foreheads from sujud. Marks of light where once there were marks of pain, and those marks became the crowns that no throne could match. You see, the crown of sujud is not made of gold. It is made of patience. It is made of tears. It is made of whispers that only Allah heard. That is why it cannot be stolen. That is why it cannot be bought. That is why it cannot be mocked away. Even if the whole world laughs at you, if you have one moment of sujud with Allah, you are richer than all of them. Because they laughed for seconds, but you bowed for eternity. Do you know how heavy one sujood is? One bow, done sincerely, is heavier than the mountains they try to place on your back. One tear, dropped only for him, is more precious than all the crowns they wear. And when you rise from sujood, you do not rise the same. You rise with forgiveness on your shoulders. You rise with mercy in your chest. You rise with strength no army can break. Enemies do not understand this. They ask, why doesn't he fight back? But you are fighting in a battlefield they cannot see. They think, why doesn't she answer? But you are answering in a language they cannot hear. They wonder, why doesn't he prove himself? But you are being proven on a scale they will only see on the last day. And on that day, when the world gathers, their laughter will not be remembered, but your sujood will rise like a crown of light, and you will wear it proudly, not because you defeated them, but because you never stopped bowing to him. So, my dear soul, do not be ashamed of your tears. Do not be embarrassed of your weakness. Do not fear their laughter. Every insult is only fuel for your next prayer. Every mockery is only a reminder to bend again. Every rejection is only an invitation to whisper, Ya Rab, I have no one but you. And that whisper is enough, because Allah hears, Allah responds, and Allah turns every bow into a crown. Their eyes will witness what their hands tried to bury. They thought their hands were powerful. They thought their whispers would erase you. They thought their traps would catch you. But they forgot that there is a hand above all hands, a writer above all stories, a judge above all judges. They dug holes with their tongues. They tied ropes with their envy. They built walls with their lies. And they smiled, thinking, this time he will not rise. This time she is finished. But Allah was watching. The Quran says, they plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. Their plans were small. Their ropes were weak. Their walls were fragile, because nothing built on hatred lasts. But what is built on Allah never collapses. Every rumor they spread was recorded. Every insult they whispered was written, and every scheme they made was being turned upside down, because Allah does not allow injustice to reign forever. They thought their eyes would never see your rise. But Allah has a way of making the same people who tried to bury you become the witnesses of your honor. Think of Yusuf, alayhi salam. His brothers pushed him into a well, thinking no one would ever see him again. They believed they erased him from their father's love, from their family's story, from history itself. But Allah was already writing a throne for him. And years later, the same brothers who once lowered him down in darkness were forced to look up at him in light. Do you see the pattern? The same hands that tried to bury you will one day cover their own faces in regret. The same eyes that looked down on you will be forced to look up in awe. Enemies forget. When they bury seeds, seeds do not die. Seeds grow, and when they grow taller than the hands that buried them. Your story is the same. They buried you with rumors. They buried you with envy. They buried you with rejection. But you were not a corpse. You were a seed, and Allah was watering you in secret. One day, your growth will break the soil. One day, your light will pierce the ground. One day, your success will stand tall. And when it does, the same people who buried you will have no choice but to see it. This is the justice of Allah. He does not always destroy your enemies in private. Sometimes, He lets them live long enough to watch you rise. Sometimes, He lets their very eyes witness what their own hands tried to erase. And that sight will be heavier on them than any punishment. Because to see you smiling where they wanted you broken, to see you honored where they wanted you humiliated, to see you walking free where they wanted you chained, that is a humiliation deeper than silence. Do not waste your energy trying to prove them wrong. Do not waste your nights crafting answers. Do not waste your heart carrying bitterness. Because Allah promises, be patient, the end belongs to the righteous. The day will come, and when it comes, their eyes will not be able to look away, because Allah's blessings cannot be hidden. His light cannot be dimmed. His decree cannot be erased. And when your rise appears, it will not be a small rise. It will not be a hidden rise. It will be clear, undeniable, public, not for your ego, but for Allah's justice. They thought they silenced your voice, but Allah was teaching you to speak with your silence. They thought they broke your path, but Allah was paving a road they could never walk. They thought their laughter would echo forever, but laughter dies. Only truth remains, and the truth is this: you were never in their hands. You were always in Allah's. The fire they lit to burn you only burned their own hands. The holes they dug for you only became graves for their own pride. The nets they threw only tangled their own feet. And you walked forward, not because you were stronger, but because Allah carried you. This is why Sufis say, the arrow your enemy shoots at you becomes the wing that lifts you when Allah is with you. The more they attacked, the higher you rose. The more they mocked, the purer you became. The more they buried you, the deeper your roots spread. Look at the butterfly. It begins in a dark cocoon. To the outside world, it looks trapped, suffocating, buried. But inside, transformation is happening. And one day, the cocoon breaks open, and the very eyes that thought it was dead now watch it fly. That is your story. They buried you in a cocoon of humiliation, but Allah was transforming you inside. And when you emerge, their eyes will see what their hands could not stop. This is why you must not despair. Every rumor they spread was fuel for your growth. Every insult they spat was a brick in your foundation. Every rejection they gave was a door closed by them, but opened by Allah. And the day is coming. The day when the light inside you will be too strong to stay hidden. The day when Allah will unwrap what He has been preparing. The day when their eyes, the very same eyes, will be forced to witness your blessing. And they will remember. They will remember every time they laughed. They will remember every word they said. They will remember every trap they set. And regret will bite harder than any punishment. Because nothing is heavier than watching the person you tried to destroy being lifted by the one you cannot fight. My dear soul, do you see the wisdom? Allah is not only writing your rise, He is writing your vindication. Not behind closed doors, but in front of those who doubted you. This is not revenge. This is mercy. Mercy for you and a final chance for them. A chance to see with their own eyes the proof that Allah never leaves His servants. And if they still deny, then the day of judgment will show them again, because Allah does not let injustice pass unanswered. In this life or the next, their eyes will witness what their hands tried to bury. So, walk with calmness. Do not hurry to prove. Do not rush to answer. Let Allah unveil what He is preparing. For when He unveils, it will be brighter than anything you could have forced with your own hands. And on that day, you will not even care about their eyes anymore, because you will realize the truth. Their attempts to bury you were the very reasons Allah raised you. Patience is a throne forged in silence. They thought your patience was weakness. They thought your silence was surrender. They thought your calmness meant you had no answer. But patience is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Calmness is not defeat. Patience is power in disguise. Silence is a sword that cuts without sound. Calmness is a fortress built by Allah Himself. The world teaches you that victory is loud, that you must shout back when insulted, fight back when attacked, strike back when provoked. But Allah teaches you that victory begins with patience. Patience is the throne only the brave can sit on, because to be patient is to trust Allah more than yourself. To be patient is to let Allah fight when your ego wants to swing. To be patient is to wait for His timing instead of forcing your own. This is why patience is a throne. It is not given to the weak. It is gifted to those Allah wants to crown. Patience is not just waiting. Patience is worship. Patience is Sabr, the rope that ties your restless heart to Allah's decree. When you are patient, you are saying, Ya Allah, I believe in your wisdom more than my desire. When you are patient, you are declaring, my pain is heavy, but my trust in you is heavier. When you are patient, you are whispering, I could fight them, but I choose to let you fight for me. And that choice builds a throne not of gold, but of endurance. A throne not of diamonds, but of trust. A throne not of applause, but of silence. And when the time comes, Allah will seat you on that throne, and the same people who mocked your silence will see it was your crown all along. Think of Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam. Everything was taken from him, wealth, health, family, but his patience built him a throne that no king could match. And when Allah restored him, it was not just with blessings. It was with honor carved by patience. Think of Maryam alayhi salam. She faced whispers, accusations, loneliness, but she stayed patient, and Allah raised her as a symbol of purity for all time. Her silence was her shield. Her patience was her throne. Think of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was insulted, boycotted, attacked, but his patience made him greater than every empire. His throne was not in palaces. His throne was in the hearts of billions, and it was built with patience. Enemies cannot understand this. They ask, why doesn't he answer back? But you are answering in a language they cannot hear. They wonder, why doesn't she fight back? But you are fighting on a battlefield they cannot see. They think, why is he so calm? But your calmness is thunder to the heavens. Patience makes the unseen work for you. Patience turns time into your ally. Patience allows Allah to rearrange the world in ways you could never plan. And when the moment comes, the same ones who mistook your patience for weakness will realize it was strength all along. They will see that patience built you higher than their pride. They will see that patience gave you peace while they drowned in noise. They will see that patience forged a throne they can never sit on, because their throne is built from arrogance. Your throne is built from patience, and patience never collapses. They thought your silence meant defeat, but silence is not empty. Silence is full of prayers the world cannot hear, full of whispers the angels carry, full of strength that only Allah sees. Do you know why patience is heavy? Because it is not passive. It is an active choice. Every second of patience is a sword you choose not to swing. Every breath of patience is a burden you choose not to drop. Every tear of patience is a jewel you place in Allah's hands. Patience is not standing still. Patience is walking forward with chains on your feet, but still walking because Allah is leading you, and every step builds your throne. Your enemies see you quiet, and they laugh. But your quiet is not weakness, it is worship. Your stillness is not emptiness, it is power. Your calmness is not defeat, it is victory waiting to bloom. Patience is a throne because not everyone can hold it. Most people give up. Most people fight back too soon. Most people burn out when storms last too long. But those who stay patient, Allah raises them above the rest. The Prophet ﷺ said, victory comes with patience, not with revenge, not with arguments, not with noise, with patience. Victory through patience is the sweetest because no one can claim they gave it to you. No one can say, it was my help. It will be clear to all. This was Allah, only Allah. Sabr is your throne because it is built in silence. And what is built in silence cannot be destroyed by noise. Look at the mountain. It does not shout. It does not move. It simply stands silently for centuries. And its silence is its strength. That is you when you are patient. unmoved by their noise, unshaken by their whispers, firm because Allah rooted you. And when the rain comes, the mountain remains. When storms come, the mountain stands. So too will you, because patience has forged you into stone. Patience is a throne, but not one the world understands. It is not made of silk, it is made of scars. It is not decorated with jewels, it is decorated with tears. It is not carried by servants, it is carried by angels. And when Allah decides it is time, you will sit on that throne in dignity. The same people who mocked you for being quiet will see you honored for being patient. The same ones who thought you were weak will realize you were unbreakable. This is why you must never despise patience, even when it burns, even when it feels endless, even when silence suffocates, because every moment is a brick, every second is a stone, every breath is a foundation, and the throne is being built even if you cannot see it yet. Patience is the throne that makes kings without kingdoms. Patience is the crown that shines without gold. Patience is the victory that comes without a sword. And when the world sees it, they will not understand how you got there, because they did not see the nights of silence. They did not see the tears you swallowed. They did not see the prayers you whispered. But Allah saw, and Allah never forgets. So, my dear soul, let them think you are quiet. Let them think you are weak. Let them think you are losing, because one day the throne of patience will appear, and when it does, their eyes will see what their hearts cannot deny. That patience was never weakness. It was your crown. It was your throne. It was your victory. Patience is strange to the world. They cannot understand why you wait when you could react. They cannot understand why you endure when you could strike. They cannot understand why you smile when you could cry. But patience is not for the world to understand. Patience is for Allah to witness, and Allah witnesses every second. He watches the moment you bite your tongue instead of answering back. He records the second you breathe deeply instead of collapsing. He sees the tear you hide so others won't notice. And he says to the angels, "Write it. This patience belongs to my servant." And that patience does not vanish. It becomes light. It becomes strength. It becomes your throne. The world only sees the outside. They see silence. They see stillness. They see what looks like nothing. But patience is not nothing. Patience is an ocean of trust, flowing beneath your skin. Every wave of pain becomes a wave of faith. Every tide of hardship pushes you closer to his shore. And in that ocean, you are not drowning. You are being carried. The Prophet ﷺ told us, "No one has been given a gift better and more vast than patience." Think about that. Not wealth, not status, not strength, but patience. Because patience is the gift that carries all other gifts. Without patience, gratitude collapses. Without patience, prayer weakens. Without patience, faith crumbles. But with patience, even the weakest servant becomes stronger than kings. This is why patience is a throne, because not everyone can hold it. Patience is heavy, and only those who trust Allah can carry it. The throne of patience is not seen in the world. It is built quietly, brick by brick, in your chest. But one day, it will appear. And when it appears, those who mocked your silence will realize they were mocking your crown. Do you know the greatest beauty of patience? It makes you need no one but Allah. You stop chasing apologies. You stop demanding recognition. You stop craving validation. Because patience teaches you, if I have Allah, I have enough. And when a servant reaches that point, nothing can break them. Not insults, not rejection, not betrayal. Because their heart has already sat on the throne of patience, and nothing in the world can pull them down. So, do not despise the days of waiting. Do not hate the nights of tears. Do not curse the moments of silence. They are not wasted. They are building. They are carving. They are preparing you for a throne greater than anything you could build on your own. And one day, when Allah unveils it, you will sit on it with a peace no enemy can touch, a strength no storm can shake, and a dignity no rumor can erase. Because patience was never weakness. Patience was always your throne. The real blessing, you don't need them. They thought you needed them. They thought their presence was your crown. They thought their absence would break you. But Allah is showing you the real blessing is that you don't need them. Every time someone left, you thought your story was over. Every time someone betrayed you, you thought your heart would not survive. Every time someone rejected you, you thought you would never stand again. But look at you. You are still here. Not because of them, but because of Allah. They wanted you to believe your worth depended on their acceptance. But Allah is teaching you your worth depends only on Him. They wanted you to think your strength depended on their support. But Allah is showing you your strength comes from His hand. They wanted you to think your honor came from their approval. But Allah is proving that honor comes from His decree. And that is the real blessing. To reach a point where their presence no longer defines you, and their absence no longer destroys you. At first, it hurts. When people leave, it tears at your heart. When friends change, it feels like betrayal. When loved ones disappear, it feels like loss. But with time, Allah rewrites the pain. He shows you that their departure was not your destruction. It was your liberation. Because you were not created to walk chained to their opinion. You were not born to beg for their approval. You were not shaped to collapse without their validation. You were created to stand with Allah alone, and He is enough. Do you see how powerful this blessing is? When you no longer need them, you are free. Their praise cannot blind you. Their criticism cannot crush you. Their betrayal cannot chain you, because your heart is no longer tied to them. It is tied to Him. The real blessing is independence of the soul, not independence built on pride, not independence built on ego, but independence built on tawakkul, trust in Allah. When you rely on Allah, you realize people are not doors. Allah is the door. People are not providers. Allah is our Razak, the provider. People are not protectors. Allah is Al-Hafid, the protector. And when you taste this truth, you stop fearing loss. Because no one can take what Allah has written for you. And no one can stop what Allah has decreed for you. That is why sometimes Allah removes people. Not to punish you, but to free you. Because if you kept leaning on them, you would never learn to lean on Him. He takes them out of your life to show you you don't need them. You need Him. And that discovery is the beginning of true power. It is the beginning of real peace. It is the blessing you didn't know you were missing. The day you realize you don't need them is the day you are reborn. It is the day chains fall from your ankles. It is the day your heart stands upright for the first time. It is the day your soul finally breathes freely. Because need is weight. And when that need is for people, it crushes you. It makes you chase what runs from you. It makes you cry for what was never yours. It makes you kneel before hearts that cannot even heal themselves. But when Allah removes that need, you rise. You rise above their whispers. You rise above their conditions. You rise above their games. And suddenly you realize you were never weak. You were simply tied to the wrong source of strength. The Sufis say, tie your heart to the one who never leaves, and you will never taste abandonment again. This is the blessing, not wealth, not crowds, not applause, but to walk into a room full of people and know in your heart you don't need a single one of them, because the one above the throne is with you. Do you remember the Prophet ﷺ in the cave with Abu Bakr, surrounded by enemies, steps away from death? Abu Bakr was trembling in fear. But the Prophet ﷺ whispered to him, "Do not be sad. Allah is with us. Not, they will save us. Not help is coming from people. But Allah is with us. That is the real blessing. And when Allah is with you, the loss of people is not loss. It is gain. Because you stop measuring your worth by their eyes. You stop measuring your future by their doors. You stop measuring your peace by their presence. Their eyes are limited. Their doors are fragile. Their presence is temporary. But Allah's sight is endless. His doors are eternal. His presence never fades. So why should you beg for what breaks? Why should you depend on what disappears? Why should you tie your life to what cannot even tie its own? No, my dear soul. The real blessing is this. You don't need them. You only need Him. And when you walk with this truth, your whole life changes. Your tears become lighter. Your steps become firmer. Your chest becomes calmer. People will still come. People will still go. But you will not collapse with either. Because your heart is not chained to them anymore. And that freedom is sweeter than any applause, greater than any crown, stronger than any army. The real blessing is not in who stays. The real blessing is in who never leaves. Every departure felt like a wound, but each wound was a doorway back to Allah, a doorway back to the one who was always waiting when they walked away. At first, you resisted. You cried for them. You begged for them. You thought their absence was the end of your story. But slowly, Allah showed you their absence was the beginning of your freedom. You see, needing people is like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You beg for their love. You chase their approval. You ache for their presence. And still, you are not satisfied. Because hearts were never designed to feed each other. Only Allah satisfies the hunger of the soul. So Allah, in His mercy, removes them. And though your heart screams at first, He whispers, "I am enough. Wasn't I always enough?" And slowly, you begin to see. Slowly, you begin to taste the sweetness of independence. Slowly, you begin to feel the power of walking alone, but never lonely. Because loneliness with Allah is not loneliness at all. It is intimacy. It is nearness. It is the secret blessing the world cannot understand. They cannot see the nights you spent whispering His name. They cannot see the moments you smiled through your tears, because you felt His presence more real than theirs. They cannot see the strength He placed in you when you thought you would break. And so, they assume you are weak without them. But in truth, you became strongest without them. Because when you lost them, you found Him. This is the secret of saints, the hidden path of lovers of Allah. They walk through life light, because they need no one but Him. They smile, even when abandoned, because they were never carrying their joy in someone else's pocket. They rise even when betrayed, because their dignity was never written by people. The real blessing is not in people clapping for you. It is in Allah saying, "I am pleased with you." The real blessing is not in being surrounded by a crowd. It is in being surrounded by His mercy. The real blessing is not in holding the hands of many. It is in holding on to the rope of Allah that never breaks. And when you taste this truth, you no longer fear loss. You no longer crave what leaves. You no longer chase what runs. Because you realize you don't need them. You never did. You only needed Him. And that, my dear soul, is the most beautiful blessing of all. Honor is written by the one above. They thought they could write your story. They thought they could define your worth. They thought their words could erase your name. But honor is not written on their tongues. Honor is written by the one above the heavens, the one who lifts and lowers, the one who gives and takes, the one who writes dignity into hearts before the world even knows your name. They whispered against you, but their whispers are dust. They shouted about you, but their shouts are echoes. They tried to stamp you with shame, but Allah had already stamped you with light. Honor is not in the hands of creation. It is in the decree of the Creator. And when Allah writes honor for you, no slander can harass it. No envy can touch it. No hand can steal it. The Quran reminds us, "Say, O Allah, owner of sovereignty, you give sovereignty to whom you will, and you take sovereignty away from whom you will. You honor whom you will, and you humble whom you will. In your hand is all good. Indeed, you are over all things competent." 3:26. Do you hear it? You honor whom you will. That means no enemy, no friend, no crowd the Cedas. It is Allah alone. Think of Yusuf, alayhi salam. His honor was written long before his brothers plotted. They thought by throwing him in a well, they erased him. But Allah had already written him as a king, and nothing in the world could erase what was written above. Think of Musa, alayhi salam. Pharaoh thought his power defined Musa's fate, but Musa's honor was written in the sky. And when the sea split, Pharaoh learned, no crown on earth can compete with the honor Allah writes. Think of our beloved Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quraysh tried everything: mockery, boycott, slander, war. But Allah said, "And we raised high for you your mention." And here we are, 1,400 years later, millions sending salawat on his name every day. Where are the Quraysh now? Forgotten. And where is the Prophet's honor? Alive in every corner of the earth. This is the truth. Their words fade. Allah's decree remains. So, do not chase their validation. Do not fear their rejection. Do not cry over their false labels. Because their pens break, their ink dries, their books close. But Allah's pen never breaks. His decree never fades. His book never closes. And when He writes honor for you, it is not fragile, it is eternal. It shines in this life, and it glows even brighter in the next. That is why the awliya, the friends of Allah, walked with calmness, not because people praised them, not because the world bowed to them, but because they knew, my honor is written above, not below. This is your story too. The tongues that tried to destroy you cannot reach the heavens. The hands that tried to erase you cannot touch the preserved tablet. The hearts that envied you cannot stop what is already written. So rest, my dear soul. Your honor is safe. It was never in their mouths. It was always in His hands. They thought their gossip would shape you, but gossip fades. They thought their labels would define you, but labels peel. They thought their silence would erase you, but silence is only space for Allah's voice to be louder. Their words are temporary. Allah's decree is eternal. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Know that if the whole world gathered to harm you, they would not harm you except with what Allah has already written for you. And if the whole world gathered to benefit you, they would not benefit you except with what Allah has already written for you. So, if even their harm is written, how could their honor ever decide your rank? It was written long before they arrived. Look at the night sky. Do the stars need the world to clap for them to shine? Do they ask permission before glowing? No, they shine because Allah said, 'Be light.' And you, too, shine not because of their words, but because Allah has written light for you. Sometimes He hides your honor for a season. Sometimes He covers it under layers of trials. So, they think you are forgotten, but when the time comes, He unveils it. And when He unveils, there is no denying it. That is the sweetness of divine honor. It does not need marketing. It does not need crowds. It does not need their tongues. It only needs His decree. And when Allah decrees it, the same ones who mocked you will be silenced. The same ones who doubted you will stare in shock. The same ones who tried to erase you will be forced to witness your light. But remember, this honor is not about ego. It is not about proving them wrong. It is about proving Allah right. It is about the world seeing the signature of His power on your life. The Sufis would say, "Do not run after honor. Let honor run after you. And if it never arrives in this world, it is waiting for you in the next. And the honor of the next life is eternal." Imagine that day. Faces glowing with light, foreheads shining from sujud, hearts lifted above the crowd. That is the honor Allah writes for His servants, and it will be clearer than the Sunday. So let them talk, let them whisper, let them write, because they are only writing on sand. And waves always come, and waves always wash the sand away. But Allah writes on the preserved tablet, and what He writes can never be erased. This is why you must walk gently, not chasing their praise, not fearing their blame, just walking with certainty that your honor is not in their mouths, but in His hands. And when He lifts you, the world will know, not because you shouted, but because Allah wrote it. Honor is strange. People chase it in palaces, yet it hides in prostration. They look for it in gold, yet it lives in patience. They search for it in applause, yet it shines most in silence. They think honor is loud, but true honor is quiet. Quiet like the Quran, whispered at night. Quiet like the heart that trusts even when it's breaking. Quiet like the soul that waits for Allah without rushing. And in that quietness, Allah writes, not with ink, but with decree, not in books that fade, but in destiny that lasts. And when He writes, His writing cannot be undone. Do you know what it means to have your honor written above? It means you do not rise and fall with their opinions. It means you do not crumble under their labels. It means your value is beyond their reach. This is why the Prophet ﷺ taught us, the most honored among you in the sight of Allah is the most God-conscious. Not the richest, not the loudest, not the most praised, but the one closest to Allah. And that closeness is not always visible. Sometimes the most honored servant is hidden from the world, praying in the night, feeding quietly in the day, walking humbly in the crowd. But in the heavens, their name shines brighter than kings, because Allah Himself has written their honor. So, my dear soul, do not fear dishonor in this world. Do not despair when they mock you. Do not collapse when they forget you, because their forgetting is nothing compared to Allah's remembrance, and their dishonor is nothing compared to Allah's honor. If He honors you, you are honored, even if the whole world rejects you. If He humbles you, you are humbled, even if the whole world praises you. So anchor your heart in Him. Anchor your worth in His sight. Anchor your dignity in His promise. And walk with calmness, knowing that your story is not written by their pens, but by His pen. And when He unveils it, the same ones who mocked you will be forced into silence. Not because you shouted, not because you fought, but because Allah wrote. And what Allah writes, no tongue can erase. Victory is not always loud. It does not always arrive with drums, with crowds, with banners waving in the wind. Sometimes victory arrives as a whisper from Allah to your heart. I never left you. I was always here, and this moment is proof. You see, they thought victory would be in their hands. They thought they could decide when you rise, when you fall, when you are remembered, when you are erased. But they forgot. Honor and victory are not written by people. They are written by the one who writes destiny itself. The golden whisper of victory is not just about you being seen. It is about Allah showing the world. This servant was mine when no one believed. This servant trusted me when all doors were closed. Now watch how I honor them in a way no one can deny. Victory is not always in wealth. Victory is not always in crowns. Victory is not always in applause. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply peace, the kind of peace that no enemy can touch. Sometimes the golden whisper is that smile you carry, when they expected tears. Sometimes the golden whisper is the strength in your step when they expected you to collapse. Sometimes the golden whisper is the calmness in your chest when storms rage around you. And sometimes the golden whisper is Allah lifting you in front of those who once buried you with their words, not so you can humiliate them, but so you can see it was never about them. It was always about Him. The Prophet ﷺ was mocked, insulted, driven out. But years later, he walked back into Mecca with his head bowed, not in arrogance, but in gratitude. That moment was not just a victory for him. It was a whisper from Allah. This is my promise fulfilled. I honor whom I will. And that same whisper is waiting for you. Do not think your patience is wasted. Do not think your tears are unseen. Do not think your silence is forgotten. Every sigh was recorded. Every tear was counted. Every prayer was heard. And on the day Allah chooses, victory will arrive. Not the kind of victory they imagined, but the kind of victory only He can design. Victory that humbles you instead of inflating you. Victory that softens you instead of hardening you. Victory that proves Allah right instead of proving people wrong. That is the golden whisper of victory. It does not shout, it whispers, but its whisper shakes the world. So, my dear soul, do not measure victory by their standards. Do not chase it in their applause. Do not beg for it in their hands. Wait for the golden whisper, because when it comes, you will know it was not revenge. It was mercy. It was not proof of your strength. It was proof of His love. Victory from Allah is unlike any other. It is not noisy. It is not desperate. It is not fragile. It comes with stillness. It comes with clarity. It comes with light that no shadow can touch. When Allah whispers victory into your soul, it is not only the world that changes. You change. You discover that the same pain that once bent you was actually the fire that shaped you. The same heartbreak that once crushed you was actually the medicine that healed you. The same silence that once suffocated you was actually the cocoon that transformed you. And now, when Allah opens the curtain and unveils your blessing, it does not just shock your enemies, it shocks you too, because you finally see the wisdom you could not see before. This is the golden whisper. Allah saying to your heart, every tear had a purpose, every delay had a wisdom, every loss had a secret, and this moment is proof that I never left you. The Prophet ﷺ said, know that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship. Do you hear it? Victory is not apart from pain. It is born inside pain. Relief is not after affliction. It is hidden within it. Ease is not separate from hardship. It walks hand in hand with it. This is why the whisper of victory is golden, because it teaches you that none of your suffering was wasted. It was all part of the design. It was all written for this moment. And when it comes, it does not scream. It does not boast. It simply stands, strong, clear, undeniable. And they, the ones who mocked, doubted, envied, will be forced to see it. Not because you demanded it, not because you fought for it, but because Allah wrote it. This is the highest form of victory, to be lifted by Allah in a way no one can deny, in a way no one can stop, in a way no one can explain except by saying, this was from Allah. And in that moment, you will not even crave revenge, because revenge will feel too small compared to the sweetness of divine justice. You will not crave their apology, because their silence will already prove enough. You will not crave their recognition, because Allah's recognition will eclipse it all. The golden whisper of victory is gentle, but it carries thunder. It is soft, but it shakes mountains. It is unseen, but it rewrites destinies. So, my dear soul, hold on. Do not collapse. Do not rush. Do not despair, because the whisper is coming. And when it comes, you will finally understand. Allah never forgot you. not for a single moment. Victory is not always about standing taller than your enemies. Sometimes, victory is bowing lower to Allah than ever before, and realizing that is where your crown has always been. They thought victory would mean you proving them wrong, but the golden whisper shows you it was never about them. It was always about Allah proving Himself right through you. When Allah whispers victory, He whispers it first into your chest, so that peace arrives before the blessing even appears. By the time the world sees your rise, you are already calm, already grateful, already surrendered. Because victory is not the moment of applause. Victory is the moment of sujud after the applause. Victory is the tear that falls when no one is watching. When you whisper, "Ya Allah, I don't deserve this, but you gave it anyway." That is the whisper that crowns you. That is the whisper that the enemies can never touch. That is the whisper that carries you through this world and into the next. Do you remember the verse? Indeed, the help of Allah is near. Quran 2-214. This is the golden whisper. Not far, not forgotten, not delayed without wisdom. Near. So near that sometimes you can feel it in your chest before your eyes see it. And when it comes, the world may gasp, but your heart will smile quietly because you always knew, Allah never abandoned you. So let the whisper settle in your soul tonight. Let it wash over your pain. Let it heal your silence. Let it remind you, it was never about proving them wrong. It was always about proving Allah right. And the golden whisper of victory is this: you were never alone. Not in your tears, not in your waiting, not in your heartbreak, not in your silence. Allah was with you. Allah is with you. And Allah will always be with you. And now you see it, my dear soul. They never had the power to bury you. They never had the pen to write your ending, because your story was never in their hands. It was always in His. The same enemies who thought your silence was defeat will one day be forced to witness your victory, not because of you, but because of Allah. So, leave their whispers behind. Walk with dignity. Bow your head only in sujud, and trust the one who promised. Allah will honor whom He wills, and no one can stop it. Tonight, as you close your eyes, remember this golden whisper. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. And the blessing that is coming will be so clear that even your enemies will know it was Allah.